100,000 vectors. One query. Which one is closest? The honest way is to check. Measure the query against every vector. Keep the smallest distance. It's exact, and it's 100,000. I asked an HNSW index the same question. It answered after 2,200. It never even measured the other 97,000. So either it guessed or it already knew something about vectors it never looked at. It knew, and that same trick is what lets a database hand you a match in milliseconds instead of searching everything. This is how it knows, and what it trades away to be this fast. Checking everything always works. One query, one distance to every vector, and the smallest wins. It never misses. But it doesn't scale. 100,000 vectors, 100,000 comparisons. 1 billion vectors, 1 billion. One on every single query. So the next answer is the one thing you can't afford. You need to find the nearest without looking at the nearest. So you stop treating the vectors as a pile and start treating them as a map. Link each one to a few of its nearest neighbors, and the whole set becomes a graph. Searching a graph isn't checking, it's walking. Drop in anywhere, look at your neighbors, and step to whichever one is closer to the query. Closer, closer, until nothing around you beats where you stand. You've arrived, and you only ever touch the vectors along the path. But a flat graph traps you. Too few links, and the walk dead ends in the wrong corner, nowhere near the answer. Too many, and every step costs a pile of comparison. On 100,000 crowded points, one flat graph either strands you or drowns you. So HNSW builds the map a smarter way. It stacks the map in layers. Almost every vector lives on the bottom floor, where the graph is dense. A few get copied up a level, fewer still above that. Each floor comes out about 16 times emptier than the one beneath it. My index came out 5 floors tall, 94,000 vectors on the ground. At the very top, 2. You start at the top where a single link leaps clear across the whole space, and you take those leaps until you can't get closer. Then you drop a floor and go finer. The top gets you close, the bottom gets you exact. So count it. Up top, the walk is greedy. One best step at a time, just closing in. At the bottom, it opens into a beam. It holds its best candidates, checks their neighbors, and quits the instant nothing gets closer. For that one query, 2,200 distance calculations. Of the index. The other 98%, it never touched. 45 times less work for the same answer. Almost. Because it isn't always the same answer. A shortcut can walk right past the true nearest and never know it. That's not a flaw, it's the trade. HNSW is fast because it's willing to be wrong. Over 1,000 queries, its top pick was the exact nearest all but 7 times. On query 317, it wasn't. It handed back the second closest vector instead of the first. A neighbor so close you'd have to measure both to catch the swap. It got it wrong, and it would make the same bet every time. Because that bet is a dial. Widen it, and the index finds more. 99% of the true neighbors, if you ask for them. Narrow it, and the search gets cheaper and blinder. Wide open, mine answered in under 600 distance calculations, 170 times faster than brute force, and it found only 2/3 of the real neighbors. Every bit of speed paid for in misses. This was plain distance on 100,000 invented 64-dimensional vectors. But it's the same algorithm running inside. pgvector, FAISS, Qdrant, and Weaviate. So the next time a database hands you the nearest match in milliseconds, remember what it skipped. It didn't search everything. It walked a map that already knew roughly where to look, and it bet that was enough.